Welcome back to the Takeout. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Early voting, as we've mentioned on this program, underway in a series of very closely watched primaries in Texas. One of them we've got our eyes on right this second includes Democratic Congresswoman Julie Johnson running against former Congressman Colin Allred. Now, Allred is in that race. Why? Because he dropped out of a bid to become the Senate nominee in Texas. And I tell you, we'll get to that in a second. Congresswoman Johnson joins me now. Very quickly, your reaction to the Supreme Court's Tariffs decision and President Trump's vow to keep his, this is my phrase, not his, Trump tariff train running.
Right. Well, it's about time the Supreme Court finally stood up to Trump clearly exceeding his executive authority. Tariffs clearly will fall within the bounds of congressional scope. And the fact that he actually said, well, maybe I'm just not going to follow that, I'm going to do what I want anyway, should be a five-alarm fire to the American people over the separation of powers and what our constitutional limits are of each branch of government.
So what is the state of your race against Colin Allred?
Hey, we're feeling really good about our race. You know, I have over 120 endorsements in this race from folks from every level of government, from lots of congressional folks to the precinct chairs and everything in between. We just recently got the endorsement of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, the Tejano Democrats, the women, the LGBT community, the U.S. Chamber, labor, the doctors, the lawyers, all of it. And so I'm just really thrilled to have so much support on the ground from people who believe in what I'm doing and the work that we're doing to try to help folks in this district, but also from folks who've worked side by side with me and Colin Allred as well, who've seen us both in action. They've clearly come down on my ledger card as the person they want to see go back to Congress.
Colin Allred has gotten quite a bit involved in the Senate Democratic primary between James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. Who are you going to endorse in that particular race?
Well, prior to Jasmine getting in the race, I had previously endorsed James Tallarico. You know, James and I, we're in the state legislature together. We both flipped state legislative seats in 2018. I sat next to him on the House floor. He and I are very close friends. I've seen up close and personal what a talented legislator that he is. But that's not to diminish, you know, my respect for Jasmine. You know, I've worked with her as well. She's an incredible human, a great legislator as well. Texas has a bounty of riches in the two of them, and I'm 10 toes down for whichever one of them comes out of this primary to make sure they become the next senator of the state of Texas.
Does anything that was said about what James Tallarico might or might not have said about Colin Allred shake your confidence in him?
Oh, no, you know what? I am not getting in that. You know, Colin stepped in that, and that's his own mess to clean up, and I am staying far away from it.
When Congress gets back next week, there will be a conversation. There hasn't been much of one this week about how to fund the Department of Homeland Security for the rest of this fiscal year. Where do you think that's going to land? And should the country and those at DHS employees who are working because they are essential employees but not getting paid be prepared for a long duration of not being paid?
Right. You know, unfortunately, the administration keeps insisting on ICE, you know, violating the constitutional rights of the people of this country, ignoring the rights of the First Amendment, the rights of protest, the rights of unreasonable search and seizure. And until we have some serious reforms of how that agency operates, until they can come in conformity with the law of this land, we are not going to fund it. It's as simple as that. I don't think Democratic demands for how ICE behaves is unreasonable. It's basically saying, please follow the damn law, follow due process, recognize the constitutional rights of the people of this country. You can't just kick people's doors down because you feel like it. And so, you know, but so far they have refused to acknowledge that. And so we need to have a whole scale revamping of that agency. It's operating in a very rogue and unconstitutional way, in my belief. And until they come to the table with some real serious reformations, I have no interest in funding their current system.
What are your plans for State of the Union night? Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, has said attend or not attend, but if you show up, keep quiet, no signage, no antics.
Right. I'm going to be here in the district. You know, the polls are open, voters are here. And so I've made the decision to stay here and be with my people in the district during State of the Union. You know, I think what President Trump is going to say is just a bunch of ridiculous lies about what his administration is doing and justifications for some very terrible things that are very unpopular with the American people. And I'm going to stay here and be with the voters of my district.
And very quickly, Congresswoman, how do you think the Senate primary will turn out in the sense that will Democrats have that long desired but long unfulfilled chance of flipping the state in the U.S. Senate context.
Right. Chasing that goal that we've been chasing so long. I think we have real opportunities here in Texas. What I hear from people is people are fed up with President Trump. They're fed up with this administration, but they're really fed up with Republicans who are complicit and failing to exercise their oversight and their duties to kind of rein this in. And so you look at what happened with the state legislative seat, the
Yep.
state Senate seat a few weeks ago, a 31-point shift. I mean, that is seismic. I mean, and I can't emphasize to you enough how just what a significant win that is. Tarrant County, which is the home of Fort Worth, Texas, just the neighbor city to Dallas, is
Right.
the largest Republican county in the country, the largest Republican county in the country. And Trump won that district just what a year ago by 17 points. Taylor Ramett flipped it by 14, but the Latino vote shifted by 50. And then just what a week or two ago, we
Very
had
quickly
another
now.
election in Louisiana, 34-point shift. So people are fired up to vote. I think it's
Co-
opportunity. The time is now.
Congresswoman Julie Johnson, I appreciate the time. Thank you.